3, 2, 1, 0.
What it do, sports people far and wide? It is Friday, April 23rd. My name's Shady. Your boy over there is RJ, and we would like to welcome you to the inaugural Elevated Takes podcast. How are you doing tonight, RJ?
Oh, I'm just so happy we're getting this started. Happy to be here with my boy Shady, and this is gonna be an adventure. How you doing, baby?
Dude,
Cakes?
I am doing great, man. Life has been kind of fucked up since the coronavirus, but I love sports. I'm ready to talk about sports. Want to get these ideas out there. I just feel like a lot of people aren't really putting a lot of crazy ideas out there anymore. I feel like everything's way too structured.
Wait, hold on. So you're not just gonna defend LeBron?
Hold up now. LeBron is arguably the greatest player of all time. I mean, hey, I'll listen to the MJ conversations, but come on, you're just throwing that out at me like that.
Okay.
So RJ has clearly given you a little insight into who I am as a sports fan. RJ, who are you as a sports fan? Just so these people kind of get a grasp.
I love my Detroit Tigers. I love the Buffalo Bills, Dallas Mavericks, and the Red Wings. Those are my squads. Debate me, come at me. I don't care.
All over.
That's what I live and die for. I live in Texas. You know how we do out here. Everything's bigger. How about you, Shady? Who you?
I keep my list a little tighter than Mr. RJ does. There, he's all over the place. He's out in Buffalo. He's down in Dallas. He's out in Detroit. I am pretty strictly. I love my Red Wings, just like Mr. RJ does. I think they're the greatest sports franchise of all time. Like RJ said, fucking fight me. Yeah, come at me, baby. No chance. No chance. Being around Detroit my entire life, the Lions kind of suck. So football, I'm kind of just waiting for it to all fall into place. Let's see what my squad is. I'm definitely not a Bills fan at this point until they win a chip. And I'm just ready to see how things go. But I think it's about time we tell people what this podcast is fucking about, RJ. What are you about to bring to the table? Okay.
This. So, ladies and gentlemen, the podcast will start with us doing a quick little intro just like this, but it'll be very brief. Then we're going to get into hot shit, which is us going over several news items that are relevant, but we're not going to go deep dive into why this happened. Just so you're informed. We're really just informing you on it. Then we're going to go into elevated takes, which is the big old meaty part of the sandwich here. That is going to be, one of us will start off first. We'll give our elevated take. We have 3 minutes to voice our opinion. Then the other person will have a rebuttal. Go back and forth a little bit, and then whoever didn't go gives their elevated take and they rebuttal. I think you kind of get the point here. The cool part about it is we incorporated our website at elevatedtakes.com. So I'm actually going to let Shady, the guy who created the website, explain that part.
So if you go onto the website, www.elevatedtakes.com, you can tell us whose take was actually better for that day. So if I bring something to the table that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, RJ brings something to the table that blows your fucking ass away, that's the one you vote for, and then we keep the score, so over time we can tell you whose takes are more elevated overall. I'm going to be honest with you folk, I'm probably going to be bringing the most elevated takes most often. That's just how this shit works, but hey, we'll let the numbers speak for themselves, right? And they'll be my numbers. But at the end of the day, we bring the elevated takes, we have our retorts like RJ was just explaining to you, and then at the end of it, we bring a different segment every single podcast. It could be something spicy, something different, just something popping off in the sports world that we think is going to be important, or something that the people want to hear about. You know what I'm saying? The people need something that is just different than this ESPN, the Fox bullshit, the millionaires shoving shit down our throats. We're going to bring something to the table that is just a little bit different. And that's kind of why we're putting this out there. So RJ, why don't we get this shit started? How about some hot shit? What hot shit do you have for the people today?
All right. This is what I'm going to start it off with, okay? The New York Yankees, people may not know this, but they are absolute dog water.
Ooh,
they are awful.
Good.
They're the very bottom of their
Fuck
division,
the Yankees.
and they're, people play different amount of games, but they're basically the worst team in baseball. They're hard to watch. They have an amazing stadium. They're just very, very bad.
Garbage.
The thing that makes it really hard is they have the second highest payroll in all
They
of
always
baseball.
do.
You want to know? You want to take a guess at who has the first?
Who?
The Dodgers. Do you want to know where the Dodgers rank in all of baseball teams? I'll just tell you. First, by far, they are the best team with the best record in the MLB. Not even close.
Nope.
So, my second hot shit is a little lady, and I'm going to butcher her name, and that's just, it is what it is. She goes to UNT. She's a softball pitcher. Her name is Hope
North Texas.
Trontwine. So, yeah, University of North Texas. This lady threw a gem. The gem of all gems. Like, you could not have done any better.
Perfect.
She struck out 27 players. No one reached a base. She threw a perfect
So
game.
dirty.
It's on
So dirty.
It was amazing, and because it's softball, some people didn't talk about it. Listen, that is a feat among all feats. So that is my that's my hot shit. What you got?
All right, so my hot shit, I got a little bit of football shit for you today. So basically,
Okay.
the first thing that's popping off in the sports world is that the NFL owners have just recently approved a new set of rules that basically whoever sits, the replay official particularly, who sits in the press box of each stadium, just for a little bit of information there for the folk listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, they now have the authority to actually consult with referees on certain, and quote, this is what the motherfuckers actually said, specific objective aspects of a play when clear and obvious video evidence is present, according to the language of the rule. So this reminds
Okay. What?
this reminds me a whole lot of what they tried to do with the video replay after the Saints got fucking fucked in the playoffs a couple years ago. We'll talk a little bit more on that later in the podcast. But yeah, so the NFL owners just approved this new rule. We'll see how it plays out in the NFL season. Usually officiating changes don't really play out that well because officiating is bullshit. But either way, that's number one on the hot shit list for shady. Number two, also football related. Coming up is the NFL draft, and Ian Rappaport of ESPN has just reported earlier this week that Justin Fields, who's probably around the third best ranked quarterback in the draft nowadays, he was second for a long time next to Trevor.
That's a fair
next to Trevor Lawrence, who's been number one since he was in kindergarten. It feels like. So Justin Fields, the very successful OSU quarterback, has been telling teams that he's actually battling epilepsy. Potentially hurting his draft stock. So we'll see how far. Yeah, we'll see how far the dude drops in the play or in the selection on the draft night. But so everything that's coming out is saying that he's going to manage it accordingly. People in his family have had it; they've grown out of it. But I would imagine that that's going to affect his draft stock for sure. Like, would you say that? That's what I'm thinking.
That's interesting. Yeah, it definitely will. I mean. It's interesting though, because like it wasn't a problem for him at OSU, so like I don't think it's gonna be a problem in the future.
No, it shouldn't.
But to being open about it, that's a different tactic, especially nowadays where people, like, well, if you don't find out, you're just gonna have to deal with it. It's an interesting tactic. Maybe he's telling people like it might be true, but maybe he's telling people because he doesn't want to go wherever he's going. Whoever has a third pick right now.
That's very interesting. And so I'm a Michigan fan, just to be honest here. So I have hated Justin Fields since the day he stepped through those doors at Buckeye Stadium. And I got to be honest, I respect him a little more for being honest about his medical conditions, because I feel like a lot of people going in the top five wouldn't. But I agree with you. I think maybe he's just telling the Cincinnati Bengals, and I guess they've got Burrow as their quarterback, so they're not good, going. But yeah, he's telling the Detroit Lions, the other people like drafting high, that hey man, I got epilepsy, shit, I pass out all the time, shit ain't going. But that is hot shit. That's what's going on in the sports world that we thought was relevant, and I think it's about time, RJ, that you share with the world some elevated takes. Are you ready to throw out some crazy shit? All right. Well, you've got 3 minutes, my friend, and that 3 minutes starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've already told you that I live in Texas, right? But my football and basketball team is the Michigan State Spartans. And I love my Spartans, but I don't get to see their games a lot down here. I just don't. And as much as I'd like to, they're not on TV as much as
And
I'd
they
like.
suck now.
So, hold on. Okay. All right. You're going to get me all frazzled when I'm trying to make this. All right. Okay. So, basically what I'm saying is I got two new teams, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Longhorns, football and basketball. It is not often you get the rare chance to get a brand new football coach and a brand new basketball coach in the same upcoming year. So let me break it down, okay? Both programs have kind of fallen out of the spotlight. Football, this is football country down here in Texas, okay? You people who don't live down here, you don't understand. Our high school football, it is different without a doubt. Like, it's not even close. We have some of the best athletes, and Alabama gets all the recruits from here. Oh, wait, Alabama does? Well, guess who our new coach, who's coming from? Steve, I always screw up last names, Sarkisian, is the old recruiter from Alabama. So he's going to take those ties he took from Big Saban and bring them with him. I'm probably running close on time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have to kick this into high gear. So he's going to come in. He has learned. He did fail at USC. There ain't no doubt about it. He failed. He was a failure there. Whatever. He learns. People fail in life. People fail in life. They come back. He got more opportunities. He got a second chance. He made the most of it. Now he got a job, and he has a great chance to bring the Texas football program back into the spotlight. Now, basketball, Shaka Smart was not it. When you lost that tournament and you haven't won a single tournament game in 4 or 5 years, that's not it, Chief. That is not it. Your team was so talented. He gone. We're not talking about him no more. He gone. Okay. Now we have Dave Beard. Okay. He was from Texas Tech, who made it to the Final Four 2 years ago, the last tournament before this one because of COVID. He is a great coach. He brings a great zone defense. He already is used to recruiting inside of Texas to get his players. People will follow him. He is a fun coach to watch. He is a fun coach to watch on the sidelines. He's an entertainer, and I absolutely love it. So, it is not often where you get to come into a new place. Like, I live in this area now, and now I get to root for these two teams who are only going up. There's no way they can go down. It's gonna be great, and I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you will join me for the ride.
2, 1. Ooh, RJ coming out hot in this first one. Nice timing, my buddy, but I've got to settle you down a little bit here. So, it is our first episode, ladies and gentlemen, but you probably don't know. I did say earlier in the podcast that I'm a Michigan fan. That was a bit of a misnomer because from 5th grade, 2005, Vince Young and Mac Brown shitting down Lloyd Carr and that Michigan team's fucking throats because my entire family was a bunch of Walmart Wolverines. I have been a Longhorns fan. I didn't live in Texas. Well, I mean, I did for a little bit of time. I lived in Dallas, but
you did.
But I'm from Michigan. But man, there's something about that orange and off-white that just got me in 2005 when I was a kid, and they have been my squad ever since. I've got a Vince Young jersey hanging up over there. And I've got to agree with RJ on the basketball. I got to be honest, man. You brought the heat. You brought the thunder on the basketball take.
That's what I'm here to do
because
every week.
I'll be honest, if there was any coach that I wanted in the NCAA, it was probably the coach of that Texas Tech team who went to the Final Four a few years back. I think, what was it, last year? I think it was last year that they actually, or was it 2 years ago?
It's 2 years ago because of COVID.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about the tournament being canceled last year. But so I do agree with you. They picked up a great coach. He can recruit in the state. He can actually build talent, which is something that I don't think Shaka was very good at. I mean, he had so many one and dones that I can't even fucking count them on one hand. Or at least every talented player he had was basically a one and done. So I do agree with you. The basketball team is turning up, and I'm very excited to see you on the Longhorns train. Hook 'em. But here's where I think you're faltering a little bit here, my friend, my lifelong buddy and my brother.
I'll listen to
Steve Sarkisian has failed at
Yeah, that
the
thing.
team that the Longhorns destroyed, and he will fail again, and I'm terrified of it. I get where you're coming from. Oh, he was bringing in all these players from Bama, but you have to understand, bruh. Saban was already had a dynasty, bruh. He already was building these. Everybody and every child in the fucking world, if they got a call from Nick Saban or anybody from the Alabama staff, the Crimson Tide staff, they were going to that school. So you can say that it was Steve Sarkisian who was able to recruit all these kids. I'm just not sure if that's actually the case. I'm pretty sure it was the elephant on all of the gear that he was wearing when he talked to these kids that was ringing them on in. If he can do what Mac Brown did for that school, then I will concede in 3 to 5 years. But I just can't see it. Steve Sarkisian, again, had his own issues. He had issues at USC. He couldn't really lead the charge at one of the big D1 schools that was really necessary. And it's hard for me to see him as anybody other than a Lane Kiffin. And what's Lane Kiffin even doing nowadays? I mean, I guess he's at a D1 school. I know he was at FAU for a while. I'm sure. I think is he at Tennessee or where? Oh no, he's at Ole Miss now.
No, he's at
right. He's at Ole Miss now.
I believe so.
Which is fine, but Ole Miss ain't exactly spotting it in the SEC right now either. So, why do you think Sarkisian is different than Lane Kiffin, who is also from the Nick Saban chain of command?
Well, Stevie Boy was a hot commodity this coaching hiring season. Whether he went to Texas or went somewhere else, he was going to be a big hire. He was going to get a head coach job. So Texas did land him. In Texas, we love our coaches. We love them till we hate them. So, like you said, is it a little ambitious on the football side? It is, because it's going to take a process. It's going to be a process. Like, it's going to take 3 to 4 years before you can really even judge a guy in college. But you were 100% correct on the basketball side. It might not even take a year where Beard brings this team to a new level, to just winning. And I'm here for it. So I think the basketball may be a little higher than football, but I honestly think football has a chance to be in that top 5 in the nation. You're going to have Clemson, you're going to have Alabama, you're going to have Ohio State. Lately, you've had Oklahoma, that 5th spot, that 4th and 5th spot. I think Texas has one of the best chances of all the teams in the nation to make that spot.
Yeah, and I ultimately hope you're right, dude. I agree with you on Beard because, man, as a Texas fan, I am so sick of seeing us recruit top prospects like Bamba, DJ Augustine, Kevin motherfucking Durant, and not winning shit. Okay. And I really do hope that you're right about Sarkisian. I just don't know if he's the right call. He's got, and it is funny. I do have to point out, you say we love our coaches until we hate them. I'm going to be honest. The minute that Tom Herman walked in the door, I wasn't exactly thrilled.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw what he did at Houston, but you got to be able to bring it at a D1 or not a D1 level, but at a high top 5 conference competitive level. Look at Row the Boat from Western Michigan and what he's doing at Minnesota. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. We'll see.
Well, that was my elevated take. Shady, what do you got on the docket for us? Are you prepared?
Oh, I'm prepared. I'm prepared to take your ass to the grass because you're 50% right now, and I'm about to bring it 100.
Okay. Well, your time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm about to bring something to y'all that it hurts me to bring to you. But to be honest, it's really close to my heart because it's broken my heart more times than I can even count. It's broken my heart more times than any girl ever has. And that is that.
Wow.
Referees in modern day sports need to fucking go. Okay? There are better solutions across the board, and I'm going to explain to you why. First, I'm going to start with why referees fucking suck. Let's start with the NBA, okay? Between 2003 and 2013, of the 341 fines that were issued in the NBA to players, 81 were criticisms of refs, and 35 were just from interactions with referees. That's over 35% of total fines and make up 2 of the top 3 categories of fines. Okay? That's pretty ridiculous, just thinking about it that way. And that's not even including the bullshit technicals like Crawford ejecting Duncan in that game for fucking laughing on the bench, mind you, on the bench, not even in the game. And stuff like Tim Donaghy, who straight up was caught fixing games for the mob, okay? Fixing games for the mob as a referee, someone who people have millions of dollars on every single game. He was fixing games. Okay, let's move on from basketball. Let's go to the NHL. How about Tim Peel? A couple weeks ago, dude, a mic literally just picked him up saying that he wanted to find opportunities to find a penalty against the Nashville Predators, probably because they were favored, who fucking knows, against our Detroit Red Wings. And mind you, the Detroit Red Wings suck. They were going to lose that game regardless. So what Peel was even doing didn't even matter. Was the dude about to retire? Yes. Was he canned? Yes. Thank you, NHL, for making the right decision, but that does not excuse our referees actually fixing games around things that both tear out our hearts and tear out our wallets. Okay, let's move on to the MLB. We're just cruising through this shit, ladies and gentlemen. Angel Hernandez, granted, he's one of the worst MLB umpires in literally the history of the league, but a couple weeks ago, he literally sat behind the plate of an Astros-Angels game, and data says after the games, he literally only got 83% of his calls right. 83%. So he got 17% of the strikes and balls incorrect. Are you fucking kidding me? This is a professional. And then I'm not even gonna dive into arguably the most pissed off I've ever been at a professional sports game when Jim Joyce actually bent Armando Galarraga, who was a Detroit Tiger pitcher, out of a perfect game.
So bad.
Literally fucked him out of a perfect game. 1 out away in the 9th. 1 out away. It was a horrible call, and it tore the heart out of millions of people because of one inept motherfucker. And you know what? I'm not even gonna talk about the NFL because I think it's well known that the NFL has probably the worst referees in all of professional sports. All I will reference is that the New Orleans Saints literally lost an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl because literally the referee shat on their chance with a bullshit pass interference call that was missed, which was one of the most egregious calls in the history of the NFL. Those guys are motherfucking scrubs. I will finish it with this because I'm up against it, teams. There is literally a Roman inscription on the grave of a fallen gladiator that has fallen to his death. We need to fix some shit. Diodorus died because he let a person up from death, and it is about time we fix it. Ladies and gentlemen, fuck refs. They're gone.
Okay. I gave you a couple more seconds because you were kind of
you were
on a hot
Thank
streak,
you, bro.
so I gave it to you.
Thank you, bro.
So, I ain't going to be so nice next time. The Galarraga thing really just kind of hit me right in the soul. You know, I'm wearing
I only added that because you were wearing that shirt.
That was just not nice. But here's what I think about that. It's an interesting take. You brought up a lot of good numbers and stuff, you know, made my brain think a little more than I was prepared to, for just being honest. But how do you do that? How do you get rid of refs? They're such an instrumental part of the game. They're almost, I would say they're as important as players, which isn't right. But in this current system, they are.
In this current system is the key words, Mr. RJ. And I will give you a key word that can
Did I set you up?
That can replace these referees, and that is drones. Okay? Give me a drone at every aspect of the game that is necessary. Whether it's the NBA, you might not even need them. Just give me 2 fucking hanging cams, and they can tell you basically every angle of the game. You got one motherfucker sitting at the head desk with a radio, and he'll tell you what's going on. The MLB, It's fucking obvious, okay? You can tell me what a strike and a spare is with a sensor and a radio. That's not even a question, okay? And cameras that are already set up tell you what's been caught and what has not. The key and the most difficult sports for sure are the NFL and the NHL. Give me drones, okay? Give me on an NFL field, give me 20 fucking drones. They'll give me all of the angles that I need. Give me 20 operators operating every single one of those drones. And we could actually get a product that makes fucking sense, and you call penalties that make fucking sense. If a backside D end is holding somebody on a play that's a sweep to the right, fuck it. Don't call that play. Nobody wants to see that penalty called. I don't care if you're a football player. I don't care if you're the left side tackle who's actually holding the guy. I don't care if you're that D end. I wasn't going to make the tackle anyway. Fuck that music, okay? Call penalties that make sense. Make changes to the game that make sense. And I'm actually really glad you asked that question, RJ. Because to be honest with you, one thing I hate about this is that we're kind of mitigating the impact of the fact that women are finally getting into these positions. You know, women are finally getting into the refereeing business, and they're finally making calls, throwing flags, blowing whistles, and I love that. I think it's long past due. We should have done it 30 years ago. There's no reason why we didn't. But now, with this new opportunity with technology, put half of those people in drones. So we got half women, half men. We expand the job pool, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. We just made more money for more people and fixed the game all at once. So give me drones, fuck refs. What do you got to say about that?
I like part of it. You kind of threw my mind for the loop there with the whole NFL thing, but it's gonna be my question to you. You kind of answered was the whole drone thing. You're gonna take these people out of their job. Well, if you're gonna have them also control the drones and have them make the decisions that the drones see, that would fix that. You might actually make more jobs. I just think that it's so bold and controversial that I just don't think it'll ever happen.
Would you say it's an elevated
part
take?
of what you it is definitely an elevated take, and it kind of rings true with what your hot shit was earlier about the NFL refs changing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The actual language of what they're doing is pretty like, yeah, we're gonna change some stuff, but like not really. So it's gonna be interesting. I could see it happening in certain sports. In baseball, I think it's needed. I really do. Baseball's kind of, the umpires can control a game completely.
There's no reason not to do it.
But I think it's very interesting, and I'd like to see what the people have to say. So if they go to our website at elevatedtakes.com, you can vote for who had more of an interesting or elevated take.
Yeah, so do you think that my referee take was a little bit more interesting, or do you think RJ really brought the thunder with switching from MSU to Texas? Maybe not switching, but a little bit of a shuffle in choosing his teams there. Do you think Texas is going to be a better team, both in basketball and football, than changing the referees in all sports would be? That's really what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't know if you can boil it down to that. I thought a little bit of passion and, stuff like that. You take that into account, ladies and gentlemen. But
I get it.
let's get into the segment. Let's get into the segment of the day, and this one is called "Explain It to RJ," because there's just some things I just quite don't understand, and one of them is soccer, and I really want to get into soccer. #football. So, explain to RJ what is the Euro leagues? Like, explain that to me, and what is this Super League that's going on? Because, like, I'm kind of leaning towards Chelsea as being my squad. They got this guy who's under 18 years old, and he seems to be an absolute stud. I think he's going to be dope. So, like, I'm trying to, like, hitch my wagon to Chelsea early before he gets up there. So I'll be like, yeah, dude, I was before. I'm an OG. But I don't understand it. Like, who gets relegated? Who doesn't? Who wins a cup? Like, is there a Stanley Cup? Like, who? Like, what? Explain it to RJ.
Yeah, so you kind of laid out your ignorance there when you said like the Euro League. Like, yes, there's a Euro League, but when you said like when you said like, oh, okay, well, I'm really leaning into Chelsea. You're talking specifically about the Premier League there, and you really hit a hot button there by saying the Super League. So we'll explain it to RJ here
Okay, good to know.
real quick, okay? So I love
Sounds
the
good.
fact that you're coming after Chelsea because Chelsea's been my shit since Didier Drogba was literally the greatest soccer player I've ever seen with my eyes, and the dude was able to take the Ivory Coast to places I never thought those motherfuckers would ever get because the dude had a cannon.
See, I didn't know you liked Chelsea. That's pretty. So we're a Chelsea
my
podcast.
Man,
then.
I guess we're a Chelsea podcast because I love those motherfuckers.
We're a Chelsea podcast.
I mean, you got to
I'm
watch
with
a couple matches and see if they're your squad, because I will tell you, Manchester United is a great squad. Man City is a great squad. Juventus, since Ronaldo joined them, is a great squad. They're outside of the Premier League, but we'll get to that. So when you talk about Chelsea, it sounds like you wanted to focus on them a little bit. Let's talk about their primary league. So their primary league is the Premier League, okay? And it's basically the NBA Western Conference of soccer leagues. It's the SEC of soccer leagues. It's easily the best one. Yes, exactly. You got it. So really, there's 20 teams that are in and out every season, and only 6 teams really matter because they have all the talent, they have all the cash. They're the ones who are really they have the Nick Sabans, the Les Miles before the dude got canceled at LSU, and now what's his face took his ring. But we'll see how all the Ed Orgeron. We'll see how all that plays out. But basically, those 6 teams that I was referring to that really matter are Arsenal, Chelsea, the greatest one, Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, and Tottenham. Manchester United and Manchester City are usually referred to as Man U and Man City, just because it makes it a little easier. But those are really the 6 teams that are competing for the Premier League championship every year. Okay, so from a soccer perspective, those are like the top tier motherfuckers who are basically trying to kill it every single year. The unique thing about the Premier League and just soccer in general compared to how sports leagues work in America is that it's all about qualifying for the Champions Cup. Like, yes, you want to win the Premier League to show your dominance, just like Michigan wants to win the Big Ten tournament every single year. But it's about winning the big dance. It's about winning the college football playoff. And to them, the college football playoff, or the March Madness, is the Champions League, because that's when all the Champions League. So that's when all the greatest motherfuckers from Europe all fight each other and beat the shit out of each other for basically top pride, which is all football is about, baby. It's all about the pride. It's all about who's got the best teamwork. And I'll tell you right now, I played 1 year of soccer. I played my junior year. I was a keeper, and I played behind one of our good friends, Harry. And I cried when we lost in the playoffs, because other than hockey, I'll give you hockey, there is no team game like soccer. You do not win if you do not play as a team. And the best example of that is Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo have been going back and forth as the greatest 2 soccer players in the entire world for the past, probably decade at this point.
This I do know.
Yeah, because they're so popular, you've definitely heard their names, even though you're not a soccer guy. And I'll tell you, after the 2016 Copa America, Lionel Messi missed his free kick right off. It was so miserable. I wanted to cry. I did cry, if I'm being completely honest. I'll settle my man. Here's my tampon. I'll wave it proud. But he missed, and I've got to concede the best player in the world to Ronaldo after he missed that 2016 Copa America free kick. But Argentina, with the greatest player in the world, in my opinion, at the time, lost because they were not the best team in the world. You've got to be the best team in the world, and that's why the Premier League is so big, because they have the best players, and that's why that the Champions League is so big, because that proves the best team in the world. So the way that the Premier League really breaks it all down is the top 4 seeds make it into the tournament. It turns out that Chelsea ended up making it this year, which was pretty fucking dope. And they ended up beating Man City last week, which is fucking sick. And I like exploded. So what do you got?
Is it the playoffs now? Is it the Champions League right now? Or
no, it's going into certain. So the Champions League is really what happens at the end of this, the way that the league works. So it's similar to like how the Big Ten champions, it's different in America, right? So America has things where there's always a championship game. There's always a bracket to win a league. There's always like
There's
a sudden death. Where in soccer, it's your record. It's what you've always done. There's less pressure to perform when it matters, except for necessarily the World Cup and, like we just talked about, the Champions League. So that's why those are like the top tier of the European leagues.
Okay.
And so shit is really popping off right now in the soccer world, which is why I'm sure you're getting into it. And I'm actually really glad you're getting into Chelsea right now because, like I said, my favorite player, arguably of all time, is Didier Drogba, and Chelsea has actually just recruited one of the greatest players in the world. Literally every motherfucker in Europe wants this dude on his squad, and that's Christian Pulisic right now. I think that's the 18.
I've read
Yeah,
about
that's the 18 player you were talking about. Dude's fucking incredible. But I do have to explain one other thing before I dive into why the Super League is whatever it is. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I have to explain to you something about the Premier League that's very unique. Okay, it's something. It's
Okay.
a different concept from everything we know about American sports, and that is that. And I think it's the best part, to be completely honest with you. The bottom three teams, so the three teams that suck the most dick over the Premier League season, is sent to a lower level league. So those teams, it's basically like the NFL, the bottom. So the Bengals,
So like the Jaguars and Jets
Yes.
would have been sent to the NCAA, and Alabama and Clemson
yes,
would have been moved up
exactly.
to-
Or I
really?
wouldn't really say. So you do have to be careful internationally, right? Because you do have to specify, particularly between amateurs and professionals. So that's why you'll see like
Okay.
Chelsea will have a bunch of U18 teams. When you see like U18 or I think it's U19 or just 18 and under is really the squads. Those are amateurs.
Mhm.
So they are particular in the way that goes. So in America, Alabama would be a U18 team, right? LSU would be a U18.
Gotcha.
So it'd be more. So
Gotcha.
realistically, it'd be more like the Jaguars and the Jets and the Bengals going to the CFL than it would them going to college, just because of
Okay.
amateur and
Okay.
professional rules. But that's my favorite part about soccer is
Okay.
literally you got to bring the thunder or your ass gets delegated to the
All
sea.
the time.
Exactly. Yes.
All the
So what do you
time.
think about that
You know what?
before
I
I
feel more
before I
informed.
dive into the Super League that's being proposed?
I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I don't think I can digest the Super League right now. Like, I think I've had enough. I think the Super League, I read a book once and they said always leave them wanting more. And so I think the Super League may be something we cover in our next episode of Elevated
I'm into
Takes.
that.
Because honestly, my brain can't handle much
Pretty
more.
fried.
Like, I'm on Chelsea.
Pretty fried.
I understand the league, but we start talking about a whole nother Super League. I can't. That ain't me, Chief. That ain't it. You down? Are you diggity down with that?
I'm down with that. And frankly, the Super League probably ain't going to happen. It's not something that I'm super interested in. And if I need to explain it to RJ again, I certainly will. But for now, let's leave it at the premiere.
All right. Sounds good, ladies and gentlemen. This has been an Elevated Takes podcast. If you could, please check out the Twitter at Elevated Takes. Check out the website at elevatedtakes.com. And I know you have to be watching on YouTube. If you're not, please go to YouTube, check it out, like and subscribe to our videos, all our content. You will not be disappointed. This is RJ. Shay, do you got anything for the people?
All I got to say, man, is that, hey, the coronavirus has been really tough. And I think it's really important that RJ and I communicate to everybody is you're important, man. Even if your take isn't elevated, it's important. And if something's going on where you're just not in the right state of mind, you can't find anybody to talk to, go to the website, www.elevatedtakes.com. Hit us up. We got a contact page. Let us know. We love to talk, man. We love to talk about sports. We love to talk about
That's factual.
anything. So go to the page, hit us up. Let's get this thing rolling. So no, man, that's all I got. I think this was good, man. It's great to talk to you. It's great to talk to the people, and let's have a good night.
Sounds great. Till you hear our voice next time.
See y'all.